don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
As you know, I come to you each week from my little cabin out behind my big house. So I have the big house over there and then the caretaker's cottage, which was built in 1905 and has walls that are made from 18-inch thick slabs of stone. That's where I work out of. And I love it. It's so cute. It's nestled in the back amongst the trees. It gets no daylight practically because of the canopy of leaves and branches, which keeps it relatively cool. But it's over 90 degrees here in Connecticut, and it is not cool. And, at the big house, my husband and I have a constant battle over the temperature. He likes 70, 71. I like 75 to 77. We compromise at 72 to 74. And I'm always cold. I'm always chilly. So when I come out to my little cottage, I'm like, this space is just going to stay climatized for me. I don't need a window AC unit. I don't need a mini split. I'm good. I'm definitely not good. So if you're watching along on YouTube and I look like I'm melting, well, I am. I blew dry my hair for this episode because I knew it was going to be videotaped, and it looks like I just got out of the shower. I am sticky and it's gross out here. And I think I need a box fan at the very least. All right, hopefully you're cooler where you are. I'm excited to dig back in. This week, we're going to be answering another yummy designer question. I got a great question coming from Kassidi. I can't wait to answer. Can't wait to hear what she's up to. And then we're going to talk about a documentary that has really gone quite viral. Everybody's talking about, everybody's streaming this documentary. The documentary from Netflix, Amy Bradley is Missing. And of course, I watched it the day it dropped. And even though I started it at about midnight, by the time I got the little to sleep and the two bigs to sleep, by the time I cleaned up the kitchen and sat down in my bed to stream and work, it was about midnight. I binged the whole thing till well after 3. It is riveting, especially as someone who just went on a cruise a couple months ago. I have lots of thoughts and feelings, and I'm certainly glad I saw this well after my voyage. We'll talk about all that and so much more in the second part of this podcast. Buckle up, everyone. It's going to be quite an episode. First things first, we have our question from Kassidi, writing all the way in from Indiana. And she says, "Hi, Betsy. I recently found your podcast after hearing your interview on the Feng Shui Living podcast with Lisa Morton." I love Lisa Morton. If you have not listened to her podcast, guys, head over to your podcast player and put in Feng Shui Living, and you will be as excited by her content, by her insights as I was. After recording with her each time she came on my show, I immediately took the rest of the afternoon off and rearranged either my living room or my entryway. She's inspiring. She has so many specific tips, actionable tips that you can do today without spending any money that have really made my life and my space so much better, even though I'm an interior designer. I've thought of all the permutations, I've done all the things, but Feng Shui is such a different art, and it can impact your space just as much as interior design, if not more. So head over, listen. You will love her as much as Kassidi and I do, I'm sure. Let's get back into this question. My question today is about our living family room. Last year, we completed a big kitchen update, which is connected to the dining room and living room. We've gotten so far with the entire space, but I would love your opinion on how to put the finishing touches on. For reference, we're a family of 4, myself, my husband, and 2 daughters ages 2 and 4. There's currently a teepee in one corner that I want to leave for now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on what to add after it retires. The mini trampoline, however, can definitely find a new place to live in our home. Thank you for your time and your expertise, Kassidi. Cassidy, I'm happy to chime in. And I hope your kids like the teepee more than mine did. I was gifted a teepee in my Brooklyn apartment that was like 900 square feet. Somebody gave me a 6 foot diameter teepee. We had to trim the poles on top because it was too tall for the space, even though we had 8 foot ceilings. Anyway, my kids went in it a total of one time. Yeah, so that teepee definitely did not last long. We managed to take it to our other house when we moved to the suburbs, thinking, oh, now they're really going to love it now that we have more space. They got in it no times, zero times. So hopefully your teepee is getting more love than ours did. But let's talk about your living room. Not everybody is watching on YouTube. If you want to watch on YouTube, go to Uploft Interior Design. That's our channel. And you'll see the episode live. You'll see me melting. You'll see me talking. You'll see Cassidy's pictures, which are riveting. So let's move through. So Cassidy has a really big, long open space. It extends from the kitchen that has mid-tone wood cabinets, like a gray wash type wood floor, island that is sort of parallel to the space or kind of moving in that same linear fashion down the space with a white marble like countertop and a gray base. Then as we move down into the space and go into that family room, let me approach it from a different angle. On the left-hand side, we have 3 lovely windows, one of which looks to be a slider. So as we're transitioning from that open kitchen all the way to the family room, we've got a little play table on the left. We open up and have a dining table, a modest size that seats 4. Then we have a cream sectional as we move down. And then at the far end of the room, we have the TV with sort of a rustic, darker than the cabinets, but still mid-tone wood TV stand. Hanging above the windows, we have like a ivory linen weave type curtain. We have a slightly darker cream wall paint, maybe even a light tan, if you will. But as we move around the space opposite the windows, on the other side, we have this wall, an accent wall, that not only has some architectural molding details, that also is painted a different color. So it's like a forest green, like a deep, warm, dark green. And then we're circling back and heading towards the kitchen. It looks like there's a door that might lead to a mudroom or even a basement, unsure. That kind of gives you the lay of the land. Now, let's talk about the finishing touches, because for the primary pieces, everything does seem to be in place and everything does seem to be kind of working for you. Here's what's not working for me. All the furniture in the space, like I'm seriously, all the furniture is on the left-hand side. When I'm looking at a space, of course, I'm considering lots of different things, but one of the big things I'm considering is balance. You know, when we have all the big pieces, or in your case, all the pieces on one side of the room, it makes the other side look very empty, and it makes the other side look neglected. And that's certainly the case here. The one other thing I'm seeing, and I think we can solve both problems with one solution, is that everything is at a 3-foot height or lower. So when I was talking about the play table, the dining table, the sectional, the TV stand, all of that is 36 inches high or less. And in a space, we want the furniture and the eye to undulate high, low, high, low. Now, of course, we can get that done on the left-hand side with, say, a floor lamp with a broad shade, right? But we could fill that right-hand side and add some height by doing some bookcases over there. Now, I know that you want this feature wall to really stand out. So what I would recommend is that we, the royal we, of course, that we do bookcases that maybe are the ladder style, that don't have a full back and that attach to the wall so that they stay really minimal, because we don't have a lot of space for bulky furniture or furniture that's going to have a lot of depth. So I love that those ladder style bookcases, and I'm not talking the ones that slope because I don't love those and I think they feel a little dated. Those feel very 2000s. But I think the ones that are straight up and down could not only bring some height to the space, but could fill that wall and also bring in opportunities for art. Now, you're thinking art like art you hang on the wall, and that's not what I'm thinking. Art can be 2D, like things in frames, but art can be 3D, like sculptural objects, like picture frames, like even books can be considered art if they're kind of styled in a sculptural way. I'm excited for what bookcases could do over here, but I'm thinking that adding bookcases is just not going to be enough. I am thinking that it's still going to look rather lopsided. I have an idea. Right now, the TV stand. Now, I'm sorry, guys, you might hear a little sound in the background, and I'm going to turn that down right now. Guess what? It is summertime, lovely summertime, which means that lots of people go on vacation, including my amazing nanny. Our amazing nanny is on vacation and it's making things really hard for me. So my daughter is being paid to watch my baby and going great. She's doing a wonderful job, but I feel the need to always have my phone on just in case any little thing should happen. And it's causing it to ping. It's causing my phone to ping when I get other alerts. Baby's fine. Other people need me, and it's interrupting my flow. Let's get back to this room. So I am thinking that since we're losing the trampoline, which is on the right-hand side of the TV stand, in time, we're going to lose the teepee, which is on the left-hand side of the TV stand. We need to do a better job of filling this wall. The TV stand is not going to be enough. And I'm thinking we put something in the corner over there where the trampoline is. Now, we could do a tall leafy plant, something that doesn't need a lot of natural light because it's on the wall opposite the windows. But the problem with that is this wall is green and a leafy plant is typically going to be green. So is that redundant? Is that annoying? I don't know. There could be a better choice. I like the idea of doing some actual upholstered furniture over here. Now, I could see doing like a slim line upholstered chair, but that's going to mean that we're going to off-center this TV stand. Now, the TV does not have to be centered on the TV stand because I understand you might want to see that TV perfectly from the sectional, which would necessitate the TV being in the middle of the wall, but it does not necessitate the TV stand being in the middle of the wall. In other words, the TV and the TV stand could align on the right-hand side. You could adjust the TV stand over to the left so it's off-center, and then put some kind of sculptural objet on the other side. Now that we have that negative space next to the TV, now that it's not centered, either a trio of vases or a picture frame. So that way it makes make sense that we've got this negative space, and then it allows for an upholstered chair. Now, what color do I absolutely not want this upholstered chair? Anything green. We've got this big green accent wall, and everything else in the room is kind of a shade of cream or tan. So I want to be mindful that we are not having, again, thinking of balance, all the color or all the visual interest on one side and no color on the other side. Might mean that we need some pops of pillows, some colorful, maybe even bringing that forest green back with pillows on the couch. Could mean a variety of things, but these are going to be really cool ways to finish this out. The other thing that I want to think about is that the longest unbroken wall in the space, besides the green wall, is the wall behind the TV. And right now we haven't given it all that much to do. It's got the TV and the TV stand and potentially a chair. Now in the corner where the TP is, when the TP leaves in time, that left-hand corner, that could be a plant. It could be an end table with a table lamp. It could be that nice big floor lamp I was talking about that would help to give this space some balance and some height. All of these things are things to consider, but overall, I think you're in the right direction. Now, the last thing I'm wondering about, let me just look through these pictures one more time, do my due diligence. Oh yeah, Kassidi, this is a must. You need a rug under that sectional area. A rug is going to provide us with those Roy G. Biv colors. It's going to add a splash of color on this other side. Oh. In one of your pictures, I see the tiniest corner of a rug peeking out. And you know what this means? It means your rug is way too small. Looks like you have a magic carpet ride for your coffee table. It doesn't even extend the length of the sectional. Too small. Probably too small even for the dining area. And yes, I'm a fan of a rug in the dining area. It does need to be 30 to 36 inches wider than the table where you have the chairs, because when you pull out your chair, you don't want to be half on, half off the rug. But I think that's another place that could really be warmed up and where you could incorporate some of the green from the right-hand side over to the left-hand side with a patterned rug, incorporating some forest green. All right, there we go, guys. Lots of ideas for Cassidy. Maybe you're even overwhelmed with the ideas. Certainly, you don't have to take everything I say literally, but even implementing a couple of the ideas I've given you will help this space. You're already on your way. It already has a very specific style and it's already furnished very nicely. Let's just take it that one step further and give it that designer touch. Keep me posted, Cassidy. Let me know how everything turns out. Speaking of telling me how everything turns out, we've got to talk about Amy Bradley is Missing on Netflix. If you have not watched it, even though I'm going to tell you a lot of salient details, there is so much more to explore. Do not miss this documentary. It is 3 parts long, but they fly by, and I was riveted. Okay, first of all, if you've seen Poop Cruise, which was also on Netflix, you know that there's a lot of issues on cruise lines. And I could see how quickly a cruise ship could devolve into madness. You really are one floating community and organism. And even though the ship that I was on, MSC Cruises, it had 4,000 people on it, you saw the same people quite a bit. You really kind of got to know each other, even in a 4-day, 5-night cruise. And Amy Bradley went on a cruise with her family. She stayed in a stateroom with her 2 parents and her brother. She was in her 20s, he was in his 20s, and the parents got this cruise. The dad won it at work. And so they were really excited to go. They loved spending time together, and Amy loved to have fun. I love to have fun. I went on a bachelorette party cruise. We had a blast. We did silly things. There are unlimited drinks. Now, we didn't go crazy. I actually thought my friends wanted to go crazier than we did. They're partiers, and I am not typically the one to stay out late. I was the one who wanted to stay out the latest. I was the one who was like, guys, we can't go back to our rooms now. There's like another dance coming up. There's an event down the hall at the casino, blah, blah, blah. We had a blast. And one of the benefits of a cruise is that you can drink and you don't have to drive. You can have fun with your friends and you don't have to worry about safety, at least I thought. Now, I wasn't super naive. I'd heard of things happening on cruise ships, and I knew you had to sign that waiver that said, whatever happens on the cruise ship, I won't hold them liable, whatever. What a crazy clause. And we didn't get nuts. But um, anyway, Amy went to have fun, and I totally get that. And she was dancing at the nightclub. You know, the people that work there are very friendly on a cruise ship. You know, if you watch 90 Day Fiancé, one of the guys worked on a cruise ship and he met his fiancée on the cruise ship and he wanted the green card, but he was still making out with other people while he was working on the cruise line because it is a hotbed. They are like flirting with you and they are being cheeky with you. I thought because they wanted big tips. And certainly I'm pushing 50. Nobody was trying to make out with me. But apparently it happens. And so Amy was having fun. She was a lesbian, so it's not like she was interested in the guys that were hitting on her on the cruise ship. But I think she was interested in having a good time. And these guys, one of them was in the band. There were other people that worked there that were particularly under suspicion. And so she was hanging out with these people because they wanted to show her a good time. They got to know her from waiting on her at her table, things like that. Anyway, couple days into the cruise, she goes missing. And, you know, she was out having a good time at the nightclubs. She came back to the room. She was on the balcony having a cigarette and a drink with her brother. Then her brother goes to sleep. She stays out on the balcony. Then her shoes are out there, her clothes are out there, but she's nowhere to be seen. The door has a setting where it shows what time you came into the stateroom, but doesn't show if you left. So nobody knows, did she leave the stateroom? Did she go overboard? One of the neighbors, the adjacent rooms, had a creepy guy that was staying there who came on the documentary, which always makes me think, oh, this person must be okay or they're delusional. Because why would they go on a documentary and subject themselves to that scrutiny if they weren't A, innocent, or B, loco? Anyway, he is a suspect for sure. And I will tell you, we had a stateroom with a large balcony. We got it early enough, and because we got this bundle deal with all the girls, we got this large stateroom. And the guy next to us, he had a family, whatever. In the mornings, he would peek over. He'd be like leaning over, and you can clearly see, you could clearly walk through. You know, we latched it, but you could jump over quite easily the 3-foot high door. I could see how that could be a thing, right? If your neighbor is weird. We were like, don't get naked. Don't take off your clothes when he's around. Make sure you close the drapes. And we had an extended balcony, which meant we had a little bit more privacy even, but still, there was very little privacy. People could look from the top because we had that extended balcony and see us and, know what we were up to. So there's that. But anyway, she goes missing. Now, the cruise line doesn't want to worry all the passengers, right? And so this woman hasn't been missing that long. They don't send out an alert. And I will tell you, over the intercom, they said many things to us at the cruise. I couldn't understand anything they were saying, not a single thing. And I have great hearing. A lot of people on the cruise are a little bit older or whatever. It was garbledy-gook. No matter where we were on the ship, I had no idea what they were saying. So much so that we missed the security role play activity you have to do when you get on the ship because we couldn't hear a thing. We didn't even know it was happening. So they didn't send out alerts. Not that that would have been effective, but they didn't change anything that was happening on the ship. Well, she had just gone missing. I don't blame them. The ships are so big. There's so many hidey holes, so many nooks and crannies where somebody could, go and you don't know where they are. That missing for a few hours wouldn't alert me either. I'd be like, that's odd, but let's give it some time. When she's missing for a full day, they still let the people go off the ship and go explore when they dock at these different ports. Now, I will tell you a quick story. So we decided as well, my friend who was the bachelorette, she goes on a lot of cruises. So she was like, follow me, I got this. We went off at the port at the Bahamas and we went to the little tourist shops, but it feels so touristy. You're essentially still on the dock, right? She's like, I want to go a little bit further into the Bahamas and get a coffee. The cruise ship has horrible coffee, according to her. And she's like, I need a good iced coffee. So we follow her. She's the bachelorette. She's been on these cruises a million times. And we have a gaggle of girls. I think there were 4 or 5 of us at that time. So we walk around. Now, we don't get very far in because we don't want to spend that much time in the Bahamas. We have lots to do on the ship and, blah, 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 blah. So we wander just a little bit inward and we see this coffee shop and it clearly has coffee outside advertised. Inside, it's got a coffee machine, an espresso machine. It's got like a menu board up top with the different offerings and it's got a lot of people inside, a lot of men. So we go inside and my friend goes up to the counter. There's a woman working or behind the counter at least, and there's all these men there. And my friend says, I want a latte or whatever. The woman says, oh, we don't have any lattes today. Then my friend is like, oh, well, can I have an espresso? Oh, we don't have espresso today. Oh, can I have a drip coffee? Oh, we don't have drip coffee today. It was clear they had no coffee. They had pastry cases with no pastries. This place was not a coffee shop. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a question of, was Amy Bradley trafficked? Was she taken off the ship by somebody who works on the ship or somebody who has contacts with somebody who works on the ship and then trafficked? And there's reason to believe that she was based on some photos and other evidence that have been released since. I could see so quickly, like we could have been trafficked right there. We were in a coffee shop with a lot of people we did not know. It was clearly a front for something else. And we immediately left that place. Safety in numbers, thank gosh we weren't alone. Like there wasn't just one gal there. We immediately got out and went back to the ship. It was shady. There was something scary going on. We got the vibes. We got the heck out. But I could see how quickly that could happen now. And certainly this Amy Bradley situation happened 20 years ago. There are so many things to piece together with this particular situation. But I think one of the most interesting things that wasn't really explored in the documentary, they had another mom on, not Amy Bradley's mom, even though she was featured, as was her dad and her brother. And it was devastating to hear the impacts that this has had on their family. But they had another mom on whose daughter had disappeared on a cruise ship. And they just talked to her a little bit, a couple of blips. But she was basically there, it seemed, to show that this happens more than you think. And these cruise ships are lawless. And you're on maritime law when you're out in the ocean, which means that there's very little oversight. And if something does happen, good luck. Good luck. And it's to the cruise ship's benefit to cover it up, to make sure people don't hear about it. I could totally see that. I wanted to know more about other incidents that have happened. I wanted to know more about this woman's particular incident. I really think there should have been a part 5 revealing more about the cruise industry itself and how much cover-up takes place. I just think there's a whole nother discussion to be had there. But if you have not seen this documentary, tonight, clear your calendar and hop on Netflix and check it out, because I have so many more thoughts, but I'll leave you with those today because I want you to kind of make your own hypotheses about what happened to Amy Bradley and watch it and consider your next cruise, because I know immediately I got off that MSC cruise and I had so much fun. Like we had a blast. Like every night we were seeing a new band or a new show or having something delicious to eat and having something wonderful to drink and going to the casino. We just really took advantage and had a blast. But if I were to take another cruise, which I wanted to do immediately after I got off that one, I was like, oh my gosh, cruise life for me. I would be less excited now. And so something to think about, something for you to think about as you watch Amy Bradley is Missing on Netflix. Guys, I'll let you get to your shows and I'll be back with you again next week. Until then, bye. A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MVCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.